guys, it's Bex. Welcome to another video, and I wanted to go through kind of the majority of the books that I want to read by the end of 2023. The end of 2023 is quickly approaching, which is crazy, and I believe I have, how many books do I have on this list? I believe I have 12 books on this list, so let's just get into the books. So I'm going to talk about a couple of fantasy books first. First off, I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a romantasy. I have heard, I honestly don't know much about it except for I think it's enemies to lovers, and the main character, Peyton, I guess, is an ordinary, I believe that's what they are called. And then there is the prince, whose name is Kai, and he has spent his whole life hunting ordinaries. And there's like this competition, it says it's called the Purging Trials, showcasing the elite's powers, and the elites are basically the ones with powers versus the ordinaries don't have any powers. And she somehow gets thrown into the competition, and she's trying to pretend like she's an elite even though she's not. So honestly, that sounds so good. Like, I have a feeling that this is going to be like a 5-star read for me, because I love like the Hunger Games, and I love romance being thrown into fantasies and like dystopians. So really excited for this one, and it's super pretty. I got the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition, and the front without the dust jacket, there's like a little flowery sword. Hi, Sammy. And there's like throughout the books, there's like flowers like on the bottom and cute little touches like that. So that's the first book. And then the next one is part of a series. It's actually the second book in this duology, and I don't quite own the first one yet. That is on my very, very near to buy list. Like probably the next time I go to Barnes, I'll buy that. But that is Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Sammy. The reason I have this one and not Six of Crows is because I got this in one of the little free libraries, like on the street, you know, in little neighborhoods, and I know I wanted to read this little duology, so I knew I had to get it. And also it's, I don't know if it's like a special edition or what, but there's red sprayed edges. So I just thought that was cool, and it's a little beat up, but that's okay. This duology is a fantasy, and it revolves around some criminals, and one of the criminals, I believe the main character, like has the opportunity to try to pull off this big heist, but he, I believe it's a he, can't do it alone, so he gets a group of criminals to help him. And that's all I really know about it, but I've heard it's amazing, and like the found family in it is really, really good. I don't believe there's any romance, I don't know, but that is okay. I love fantasy as well, so hopefully I will like that. And I know that it's like this spin-off little duology from the Shadow and Bone series, but I've heard mixed things about that, and I don't know. I just think that I want to read these first and maybe get to those later, but they're not my priority right now. So we're going to start with Six of Crows duology. So those are 2 books. This will be the 4th book. That is going to be none other than Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which pretty much all of you, I bet, have heard of, and this just came out like a week ago, I think. Yeah, because it's like the 14th today, and it came out on the 7th. Yes, so it came out a week ago. I pre-ordered it, so I got it in the mail a couple days after, and I'm so excited. I read Fourth Wing, which is the first book in this series. I think it's supposed to be like a 5-book series, and I read that last month, and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and it's romantasy again about the main character, Violet, is kind of thrown into going to this dragon school, even though her whole life she was being trained to go into a different field, kind of, and which is totally different than the dragon riding, and she just hasn't trained for it like the other people, and it's very dangerous, but she gets thrown into it because her mom is like the general. So yeah, she's just like the underdog, and then she meets this guy, Zayden, who her family has had a long-standing kind of hatred towards each other. And yeah, enemies to lovers, and the dragons in it are so cool and unique. I've never really read anything with dragons, and I really liked that aspect, and the romance is just so good, so highly recommend Fourth Wing, and I'm really excited to read this very, very soon, probably in the next week or so. And another one that I'm very, very excited to read, and I'm probably going to be reaching for within the next week or so, is another book that's part of a series. This book also just came out. That is the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, which is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I am currently reading the second book in this series, The Ballad of Never After, and absolutely loving this series so far. A 5-star series so far for me, so hopefully I enjoy this one just as much. And this book is so pretty. I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive special edition, and the front of it, I didn't even notice this at first when I got the book until I literally saw like an Instagram picture of it, and I was like, what? First of all, the book is this beautiful color, and if you know what this means. The Ballad of the Archer and the Fox, but it's so pretty. I love the gold and the purple together. And this series is also a romantasy, and it follows this girl Evangeline who, at the beginning of the first book, she finds out that the love of her life is marrying her stepsister, which is just horrible. And so she, being heartbroken and not knowing what else to do, she makes a deal with Jax, which is the Prince of Hearts, and he's a fate, and he has certain abilities that are special to him, and she goes to him for help, and it's just never good to trust a fate, and Evangeline starts learning that, and it's just so good. If you also have heard of Caraval, this is the same author. That's like the main trilogy that she wrote, and then this is the spin-off series. So Jax, the Prince of Hearts, was also in that trilogy, and I read that as well already like a month ago, and I absolutely loved that too. 5-star series. So I just love Stephanie Garber's writing, so I really want to get to this. I think that's all the fantasies. So one of the books I want to read that I don't own yet, and this has been on like my want to read list for like a year, and that is The Song of Achilles. And I have just heard so much about this book. It got super popular, I don't even know when, last year, the year before, I don't know, something like that. It's been popular for a while, and I just haven't read it yet, and it's kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's like, how do you describe the genre? I think it's like historical fiction, maybe. It's about like Greek mythology, and I've heard it's extremely sad, and I believe there's also a romance in it, I think. So that's pretty much all I know about it, but I've just heard really good things about it, and I'm excited to read that one. And then another one that I don't have yet is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And again, same kind of thing. This book has been super popular. It got super hyped and went viral kind of. And I've also heard amazing things about it. And it's also like just like a literary fiction. From what I know about it, it like follows these two characters, this guy and this girl, over like a really long time. Like I think it starts out when they're like kids, and it follows them and their lives and how they like make video games together or something like that. And then this one has really nothing to do with like Christmas or winter even really, but it has been on, again, my want to read list and my physical TBR actually for, I think I bought it like last September maybe, something like that, so over a year, and that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this is a mystery thriller about this lady, Alicia, who kind of randomly, seemingly randomly, shoots her husband in the face 5 times. And so then she gets sent to like a psychiatric unit in London. And after she shot him, she just has refused to give any kind of explanation as to why. And she just refuses to talk about it, but there's the psychotherapist who is determined to find out what happened and get her to talk, and so he goes and visits her at the psychiatric unit or something like that. But I've heard really good things about it, and I swear I've said this like 3 times, so I'm not going to say it again after this, but I'm excited to read this one. How weird. I'm excited to read these books. And that, I think, brings us to some like specific wintry or holiday Christmas books. So one of those I already bought on Audible. I actually canceled my Audible, but I had a couple credits and I wanted to use them, of course, before I canceled it. And so one of them, which I've had on my radar for a while, but I wanted to read at Christmas time, and I heard the audiobook is really good, and that is The Afterlife of Holly Chase, which, as far as I know, is a kind of retelling of A Christmas Carol, the movie and book. And obviously that movie and book is like a classic, and this follows a girl who is actually, so she's already dead. I think she died like 5 years ago, and she is stuck in the afterlife working for, I think she's like working for the dead people or whatever, who like are the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future or something like that. That's all I really know about it, but I heard it's really good, and even so good that you can read it not at Christmas time, but I'm a seasonal reader, so definitely going to read that in probably December when it gets closer to Christmas. And then I have this book that I bought last year for Christmas and didn't get around to reading it, and I'm honestly not sure what it's about. I'll read it in a second, but it is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos, which is, I think, it says book 1 in the Mirror Visitor series. So I don't know what the other books entail at all, or if they're even like winter-y, but immediately on the back I see something about Harry Potter. Evokes both the whimsy and the deep-seated sense of justice of the Harry Potter series. Okay. Let me read it real quick. I think it's like a fantasy. Ophelia possesses 2 special gifts: a talent for seeing into an object's past and the ability to travel through mirrors. Her peaceful existence on Anima is interrupted when she is promised in marriage to the taciturn Thorn, a member of a powerful clan from a cold and distant Ark. Upon in a dangerous game that will have far-reaching consequences for her entire world, Ophelia must navigate the lies and machinations of her fiance's clan in order to survive in this first installment of the internationally best-selling Mirror Visitor series. Honestly, I have no idea. I just remember last year I was looking for some holiday book recommendations, and this was recommended on like a YouTube video, and I was like, sure, let's get it. And then a Christmas romance book that I want to read, which I don't own again, is called Lovelight Farms, which I really have no idea what that one's about either. It might be fake dating, could be wrong, but I feel like I heard that. And it's one of the options in in the only book club I'm in, another YouTuber's book clubs, Ashlyn Kaylee, and it's one of the options that I voted for. But if it doesn't win that and we read something else in that book club, I'll still probably read it. But yeah, no idea what it's about. Holiday romance. And then I believe the last book I have on this list is another holiday romance, and that is In A Holidaze by Christina Lauren. Believe it or not, I've never read a Christina Lauren book, so it'd be kind of funny if her like one and only Christmas book is the first one I read, but it probably will be because I don't own any of her other books, and I do want to read them, but I don't usually gravitate toward pure romance books unless they have to do with like this season. So like, you know, fall kind of witchy romances or like Christmas romances. So that is why I picked this one up, and this is like a time loop book that takes place on Christmas or near Christmas. I don't know if it actually takes place on Christmas Day, but it takes place in Utah. And she basically has a meltdown, and she kind of just throws out this plea to the universe. Please show me what will make me happy. And the next thing she knows, everything goes black, and she gasps awake, and she goes back in time to start the same holiday over and over again. So I've heard it's cute. I've heard it's not like the best book ever, but I think that's kind of what you should expect going into books like these. They're probably not going to be 5-6 star books, you know? So I believe that is all the books that I have on my end of year TBR. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe you got some recommendations for books to read either for the holidays or just in general. And I will also probably be doing some reading vlogs with some of these books soon, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!